I look around this beautiful community of yours. You know what I see? Each and every one of you has a big dream. We all have that one thing that we still yearn for. They say money can't buy you happiness. I disagree.
Looks like a goddamn casino.
Welcome to the game. Are you feeling lucky?
Ese hombre is a snake.
Bingo! I got bingo!
I'm gonna be a winner.
Are you feeling lucky?
We are all that's left.
We have to do something.
What's the plan, Granny?
Should I grab my shotgun?
Are you feeling lucky?
We're probably all gonna die.
We may be older, but we still have plenty of life to live.
Who's ready to play the game? Winners only. I look around this beautiful community of yours. You know what I see? Each and every one of you has a big dream. We all have that one thing that we still yearn for. They say money can't buy you happiness. I disagree.
Looks like a goddamn casino.
Welcome to the game. Are you feeling lucky?
Ese hombre is a snake.
Bingo! I got bingo!
I'm gonna be a winner.
Are you feeling lucky?
We are all that's left.
We have to do something.
What's the plan, Granny?
Should I grab my shotgun?
Are you feeling lucky?
We're probably all gonna die.
We may be older, but we still have plenty of life to live.
Are you I look around this beautiful community of yours. You know what I see? Each and every one of you has a big dream. We all have that one thing that we still yearn for. They say money can't buy you happiness. I disagree.
Looks like a goddamn casino.
Welcome to the game. Are you feeling lucky?
Ese hombre is a snake.
Bingo! I got bingo!
I'm gonna be a winner.
Are you feeling lucky?
We are all that's left.
We have to do something.
What's the plan, Granny?
Should I grab my shotgun?
Are you feeling lucky?
We're probably all gonna die.
We may be older, but we still have plenty of life to live.
Who's ready to play the game? Winners only. I look around this beautiful community of yours. You know what I see? Each and every one of you has a big dream. We all have that one thing that we still yearn for. They say money can't buy you happiness. I disagree.
Looks like a goddamn casino.
Welcome to the game. Are you feeling lucky?
Ese hombre is a snake.
Bingo! I got bingo!
I'm gonna be a winner.
Are you feeling lucky?
We are all that's left.
We have to do something.
What's the plan, Granny?
Should I grab my shotgun?
Are you feeling lucky?
We're probably all gonna die.
We may be older, but we still have plenty of life to live.
Are you feeling lucky? I look around this beautiful community of yours. You know what I see? Each and every one of you has a big dream. We all have that one thing that we still yearn for. They say my
Welcome to yet another edition of Dissecting Horror. I'm your host, Josh Millican from Dread Central, and this really is a special episode of Dissecting Horror for a lot of reasons. First of all, we're here to talk about Bingo Hell. Fantastic film. It's out now on Amazon Prime, one of the first in the second wave of Welcome to the Blumhouse feature films as part of their business deal with Amazon. Bingo Hell, you can see it right now. I'm so excited to be here with the creatives who brought this film to fruition because I've known a couple of them for years and years now, so it's really exciting. Let me tell you who our panelists, who our guests are this evening. First of all, we've got the director and writer of Bingo Hell, Gigi Saul Guerrero. How are you?
I'm so happy, man. I miss you, Josh. It's been so long. Thank you for having me.
Stop it. Thank you. Icon, right? I mean, you have just done so much. Okay, in case you didn't know, before Bingo Hell, Gigi Saul Guerrero just made huge waves in 2019 with Culture Shock. She directed a few episodes of The Purge season 2, which I actually got to do a set visit on. I was there the day they blew up the bus. I got to be an extra. It was fantastic. Did a series with Warner in Stage 13, La Quinceanera. But yeah, I've known you and Raynor since back in the Crypt TV days when you guys got some viral fame for Luchagore Christmas and Easter special, Evil Dead in 60 Seconds, and a wonderful little short film called El Gigante, which is still just so fantastic. You can see that on Shudder. Thank you so much for being here. It'll be great to stroll down memory lane a little bit. But let me introduce the other panelists. Like I mentioned, Raynor Shima. How are you?
I'm awesome, man, Josh. Good to be back. Good to see you. I mean, it's been too long, and so happy to be here with you.
I mean, it's amazing to be here with you too. Raynor, you're the executive producer of Bingo Hell, and you're the co-founder of Luchagore. Luchagore Productions is the film company that you started with Gigi. How many years ago now?
Oh my God, Gigi, what, like 8? No, how many? Yeah, 8 years ago now?
Yeah, I think it was 2013.
Like officially,
wow.
Yeah, I think officially we became like a company in like 2015. I can't, you know what? It just.
Yeah, it's been 2013 for sure.
Like, I guess we should make this official soon. So we did. I think it's been around 8 years now. So
too long.
Fantastic.
Raynor always says I'm the reason he's losing hair. Says that.
Yeah, trying to blame you. I doubt that severely, but no, it's so great to see you here too. From back in the Crypt TV days, and we'll get to that in a minute. But congratulations on all your success in the time I've known you, and specifically tonight with Bingo Hell. I can't wait to talk to you about that. We're also here with Byron Werner, the cinematographer of Bingo Hell. How are you, sir?
Great. Happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Really happy to have you here too. You've been a filmmaker for 20 some years. Your work's been highlighted on Phantom, The Last Full Measure, Bond of Vengeance, and you worked with Gigi previously on Culture Shock. So this is another collaboration with the Luchagore folk, and I can't wait to hear what your experience is working with them has been like. I also, in addition to being lucky enough to do a set visit for The Purge, I got to do a set visit for Culture Shock. And I was actually there with Gigi, hearing her do some directing. And, that was my first time seeing her behind the camera. And she was really like screaming at people and getting into it. So I can't wait to hear some of the stories you have.
Yeah, I think you definitely came to set in one of the death scenes in that.
Definitely, yes. Not to give any spoilers. But it was
a good kind of scream, motivational screaming, not yelling at people. It's a
Yeah, I think I was yelling in Spanish that day too.
You were,
Oh,
absolutely. And it's like, I don't speak Spanish, but I still knew exactly what you were saying. Like it conveyed like everything. It was fantastic.
Mátalo. Yeah.
Exactly. So after you watch Bingo Hell, if you haven't already, go back and watch Culture Shock, which was in the first wave of Welcome to the Blumhouse films. Something that everyone here for the panel tonight was actually a part of. Perfect segue into introducing our final guest this evening. Last but certainly not least, Jonathan Medina. How's it going, sir?
Very, very well. I think you and I were on the set together because I was there when the bus was blown up.
Oh yeah, you must have been for The Purge, not for Culture Shock talking about The Purge. Yeah, that was like, that was such a fun night for me. And I remember they let me get a tattoo on my neck in makeup. It was really fun. Like, I guess because they didn't need to do anything for my hair. They're like, anything else you want? You know, I sat down in the chair for hair and they're like, no, you're done. What else can we do here? And they gave me the skull tattoo on my neck. It was great. So yeah, blowing up the bus. It was totally fun. I have a bunch of pictures from that.
Carla, who was doing the makeup that day, I'm sure, was also working with us on Bingo Hell. So there's another connection.
That's right.
I love it. And it goes to show, like, when you work with great people, it can lead to more collaborative opportunities, which is why it's always important to be a good collaborator in this industry. Jonathan, just for those who might not know, I want to let people know you broke out first on Criminal Minds Beyond Borders. Since then, we've seen you on The Terminal List, Our Flag Means Death, The Longest Sleep, Shameless, The Brave, Westwood, NCIS, New Orleans, SEAL Team, and as we've just been talking about, The Purge Season 2 and Culture Shock. So in addition to hearing about what it was like playing Eric in Bingo Hell, we can talk about what it's been like working with all these people on these films, which are really just part of a really signature brand, the Lucha Gore flavor that you guys have been so successful with bringing up, from short films 6 years ago to now feature films, and just knocking them out and knocking people dead at every turn. So thank you all for being here.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Cool. So first, just a tiny little stroll down memory lane, like I was saying. Here's a picture of me and Gigi 5.5 years ago. This is from the Craft Beer and Cinema Festival in Little Rock, Arkansas. Here's another one.
Place on Earth, the most random place on Earth.
It was, but wasn't it totally a blast?
That was one of the most memorable moments being out there. And I think when we were there, we were like, you got to try the crawdads.
The crawdads.
Oh, sorry, that's the birthday dinner. Yeah, that's the.
Yeah, and Raynor, it was your birthday, so we went out the night of your birthday, and we just got really inebriated. And I remember you were sitting on a piano, right? And someone was like singing songs about the size of your genitals or something. It was really weird. It was some weird birthday roast.
That was Little Rock. That was Little Rock for you. I mean,
Little Rock was wild.
They know how to host,
And here's a little more recently. This is Gigi and I at Fantastic Fest. Before the pandemic. This is when I had actually, the day before, I had been on the set of The Purge with Jonathan. That's why I'm wearing my Resist shirt, which is actually a spoiler. Probably shouldn't have been wearing it in public at that time, but
it's fine.
I think it's fine. I don't think anyone caught me at the time, but that part of why I'm so excited to be here tonight, and why I said this is such a special episode, is because it's so great to be here with you guys. We met in Little Rock because at the time we were all closely affiliated with Crit TV, which was brand new at the time, and they were the platform that launched you guys with some viral success with your short films. And I was at the time working as their community director. And Jack Davis, the co-founder of Crypt TV, was supposed to go out and represent Crypt TV in Little Rock, but he couldn't go, and I had the opportunity to go on his behalf. And it was just such a great time. And, back then, The Feathers in Your Cap were El Gigante, which is a great short film. See it on Shudder. But since then, you guys have just done so much. And, Bingo Hell, which we're here to sing the praises of tonight, and Culture Shock, we're just both really just fantastic feature films. Both of you, let's talk a little bit about the journey from short filmmaker to feature filmmakers. What's it been like?
It's gone really fast, let me tell you. But it's, you know, for some people, with one short film they make it, and for us, you know, it took about 17 of them. You know, but we were constantly making content, which was super exciting to work with Crypt TV, because we were always making stuff, you know. And so our platform, our way of sharing our stuff was through viral content, and it really worked out. It's how Blumhouse saw our work. And the cool thing about short films is you can send them easily to amazing actors like Jonathan, or amazing cinematographers like Byron, to quickly see what you can do as well. And that's been a blast, because it's also, you know, working with Byron was like, okay, man, I'm gonna show you all my work. Nothing is a feature, but check it out, you know. And Byron immediately was like, okay, I see what you are. And it's been really cool, like, to keep our signature, and just that collaboration is so neat that it's gone so fast. And I personally can't wait for what's next. Sorry, Raynor, I probably talked.
No, I mean, just to echo what Gigi said. I mean, like, yeah, it's everybody has their own path, and you can't really follow the same formula. I mean, like I said, we made a bunch of short films, and I think, you know, we really tried our best to create stuff that was so different and unique, and, you know, gave a different appetite for people. And banding with Crypt TV at the beginning, you know, really kind of allowed us to have that outreach that we didn't really necessarily have. I mean, like, they were growing at the same time, but they've expanded and exploded, which, you know, we love those guys. And they're all
me too. I've got the Crypt TV tattoo.
I still have the original white T-shirt they sent out to everybody.
The Crypt family one.
Yeah, the back of the.
Yeah, I have that too.
And you know what? It's been great to go back to our roots. Even when the pandemic hit, we weren't sure if Bingo Hell was going to even happen. You know, 2020 was definitely for everybody, a crazy year, but it was a year that kind of, we said, I don't think this movie is going to be a thing. You know, instead, in that time, we spent it working on the script, not really knowing if it's gonna go down, or, you know, everything was so unpredictable. And it was really nice to actually go back to our roots, call up Crypt TV and say, so can we make a short film with you guys? And we did. We were the first production to shoot an indie project in Vancouver during the pandemic.
Nice.
We were, and I remember all the
people thought we were crazy.
All the unions were like, you're shooting during a pandemic? We're like, yeah, so what do you think? Can you cover us? And you know, it was just so much fun to just kind of go back to our roots with the short film Mistress of Bones, which is you know, another viral hit that we just recently made.
Congratulations.
So it's fun. It's just, thank you. So it's just a blast to just make stuff. Doesn't matter the size.
Yeah, well, mad props to Crypt TV, and mad props to you guys for starting small, but keeping consistent, keeping strong, and forging a really unique and a wonderful, and now we're seeing an ultimately very successful path. Byron, Gigi talked about coming to you with all her short films and showing you as a cinematographer. What did you think of this, like, Lucha Gore style? And were you know, how did you feel about representing what was already established? And where does that leave room for you to insert your own creativity as a cinematographer?
I'm a little jealous because I came up shooting a lot of short films that didn't go viral and nobody ever saw. So I'm glad that they were able to do that. No, but it was amazing. I mean, the first time I met Gigi, I had read the script for Culture Shock, and I came in with a lookbook, and we both started showing each other images, and we turned our computers around. And it was almost like the same thing. We had so many of the same images. So, you know, right away we got along, and we saw eye to eye, definitely on the lighting and the look. And I'm somebody that, I'll talk story and all that, of course, but I like to come in with, you know, the camera and the lighting and really get into that and hit the ground running right away. So we definitely did that. And you know, when it comes to the Luchagor style or Gigi style of, you know, she loves her handheld and do we call it like a Tex-Mex style? I think, you know, it was, you know, anyway, she's got this great energy to the camera and she loves it to be handheld. But what I love about Culture Shock is that we were able to then juxtapose it when we were in the, you know, in the other world and in the Cape Joy world with something completely different. And we were also able to do that again in Bingo Hell, where we have this crazy style with Lupita and everybody in the town. But then when we get into Mr. Big's world, now we're, you know, a little more smooth and these wide angle lenses. And so, you know, I love our collaborations, and being able to jump right in on her style and fit in with it was easiest transition ever. And she's just so fun to work with and so collaborative. So it's amazing. I can't say enough great things about working with Gigi.
Definitely Byron and I are the loudest humans on the set. We're always freaking out like, yeah, like we're always so excited. And definitely on Byron's, you know, our interview for Culture Shock, his enthusiasm, I was like, this guy, I was like immediately this dude. But it's true what Byron says, our lookbooks were identical. And like, that doesn't really happen ever. And it was so cool that we just immediately both were like, oh, we were like two kids, you know, trading Pokemon cards, being like, yo, like it was awesome. It was so awesome. Byron's great.
Well, first of all, Byron, a very common thread. Everyone I know talk to, what's it like working with Gigi Saul Guerrero? They can't say enough wonderful things about this wonderful filmmaker. Also, Gigi, I've seen it with my own eyes. You bring an energy that is absolutely infectious, and I can't imagine a Luchagor production or anything, any production with you at the helm that isn't just going to have this wonderful, amazing creative energy. That is really going to burst, and that's you absolutely see that once again in Bingo Hell. So. Sorry, we
have a lot of fun on set. She sets the pace with the energy. I'm also full of energy. So between the two of us jumping around everywhere, half the crew at the first couple days are like, what's going on here? And then they get in with it and they're like, okay, we get it. These guys are nuts. They're just going to keep shooting.
Definitely, Byron and I do not get burnt out. We do not. So knock on wood so far. But
yeah, we're good.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear. Well, let's start talking about Bingo Hell. And with that, I want to go to Jonathan, ask a question, ask you to tell us a little bit about your character in terms of his place and what he represents in Bingo Hell. In Bingo Hell, we have characters who are older than we're used to seeing. And there's very much a dichotomy between the older and the younger. Yet here you are, your character, Eric, is somewhere like right in the middle. You're almost like the bridge between generations. Am I right on? Let's talk a little bit.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I was a bridge between the foundation, which was represented by Clayton and Grover and Bertilla and Adriana, of course, and then Joshua's character, who was sort of coming in, and it's like the new and the old meeting, and I was the arbiter for the two, and it was really great because my character was unique in that way, in that I was sort of I was representative of what Adriana had done, right? So I was like a living history for her and for all of the people who were taking up for the town. And it was nice to be able to have that bridge, to be able to communicate with Joshua, and then to be able to then turn around and have a completely different dynamic, but still sort of loving dynamic with Adriana. And that was what I think was what drew me to the character too. And initially it was, I mean, working with Gigi was what drew me to the character, honestly, to the film and to the project. But then once I got a hold of the sides and the script, it was so well written. It was so easy for me as an actor to just fall into the character and become Eric. And there was so much, what was really surprising for me was that there was so much heart and there was so much soul. And I'm like, is this a horror film? Like, I'm going, and then like, you have these incredible ups and downs, these swings, and they were able to create this wonderful story that just had everything in it. So how do you not want to be a part of that?
I don't know how you don't want to be a part of that. By the way, I do want to go back and correct myself on something. I said that you had acted in Culture Shock. I just had a lot of notes all over. You weren't in Culture Shock, but you were in The Purge season 2, very prominent.
I was there in spirit. I was in Culture Shock.
Absolutely. It's wonderful that you've all worked together before Bingo Hell is what I really wanted to stress, and just how great it is that you find collaborators you like working with, and that comes together. There's a ton of heart and soul in this movie also, to reinforce what you just said. Before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit more about the darkness of this movie. The X factor in this film is Richard Brake as Mr. Big. And I gotta say, like, that guy, I'm so glad you got him in your film, because I've always felt kind of like he's been Rob Zombie's secret weapon. And like, when are other horror directors gonna realize how much this guy brings to the set? Am I right, Gigi?
He's just so badass. And he was in a lot of our reference photos when we began just creating the look of the movie. And suddenly I remember Raynor was like, Gigi, you're not gonna believe who just auditioned. And I'm like, what? And so Richard Brake's like audition tape came in. I'm like, this guy auditioned? Like, what? Like, it was so crazy. And his audition tape was so good. He was just so
he was Mr. Big. He was.
I bet.
It was so
now, let me ask you, when I saw Mr. Big, I got a little bit of a hint of Reverend Kane from Poltergeist 2 and 3. Yeah. Was he in your lookbook, or was that a coincidence?
No, we're just trying to secretly push. If anyone does that remake, they need to cast Richard Brake for that.
There you go. I'm all for that. But yeah, and you wouldn't even know that the guy's not American if you've only ever seen him in Bingo Hell and Rob Zombie movies. I got to interview him one time. I was like, oh my God, you are brilliant that you bring that so believably. These American dialects, which aren't your typical American dialects either, is just incredible actor. Anyway, the reason I bring him up, and I'm going to go back to Jonathan, you have a really amazing scene with Richard. It's really during the climax of the entire film, violent, really going toe to toe. What was it like working with that crazy dude?
It was effortless. I mean, between the energy with Gigi and Byron and the crew, and they had all been working with Richard already, so they kind of had a shorthand already, especially Gigi and Richard, and so we got on the set, and it really just felt effortless. Like, he gives so much in the moment, and he's such a generous actor, and he's such a generous person, right? Which I think speaks so highly of who he is as an actor, because he's not that person at all. And then he becomes this, Jonathan Pryce in Something Wicked This Way comes creature where just like you can't help but react organically to what he's giving you. So we went through it, and then it was just about levels, right? It was just about like levels and angle, and Gigi having a blast watching the two of us go off of each other, and me stabbing myself.
Definitely that scene of Jonathan and Byron, it was actually one of my favorite scenes that Byron lit. I mean, everything Byron does is perfect, but I remember just everything, because that location specifically for that big scene for Jonathan's character, a lot of it was last minute. A lot of the shoot was like, let's go. And this was one of the locations we finally got last minute. We finally got to get in there like a little bit before to test things out. Like, everything was very, like really getting close to the wire, especially it was that scene. So it was a little nerve-wracking going in. However, as soon as Byron started lighting this scene, I'm like, oh my God, I started freaking out. And I remember just that collaboration between Jonathan and Richard, and even our youngest character, actor, Joshua. The three of them, they were just really bringing this scene together, especially in the rush that we were. It was awesome. And I mean, Jonathan's right. I really was freaking out in the back, being like, yeah! I was like, it was just so cool. And I think the only person that was literally mortified and scared was the youngest actor, Joshua, because at the end of every take, Richard and Jonathan, they would just calm down. They would wait for the next take, after I call cut. Every single take, Joshua would be like, holy shit, that was scary. And then like another one, holy fuck, how did he do that? Like he'd always react. He's just a teenager, right? And he was always like, holy fuck. Like he was just always reacting. It was so funny because you can genuinely tell he was just petrified of Richard.
And that just goes to show how much Richard and Jonathan and your whole team is just putting 100%. I mean, really making things believable. And, you know, yeah, people are going to be talking about the scene we're talking about right now. It's just a really wonderful, intense moment. It's tragic, you know, but it's ultimately, you know, leading towards this very powerful climax. So let's talk about kind of the biggest, you know, surprises about Bingo Hell. It's such a unique film. Gigi, let's talk about main lead actress Adriana Barraza. Am I pronouncing her name correctly?
Yeah.
I mean, she was so great as Lupita, and you know, you've got this character who's the lead character, the kick-ass lead character is a grandma, and you kind of dedicate the whole movie to grandmas everywhere, don't you?
I sure did. And you know, when we were creating this, I mean, it literally popped in Raynor's mind and mine, that Adriana should do this. I was like, yeah, you're right, Raynor. And I don't say that often.
Did you get that in writing, Raynor? Did you make her sign it?
I have to do like a bold check mark. Like, I got it, finally.
Like there was nobody more perfect than her, you know. So we had her in our minds during writing it, even the pandemic, when we were like, this movie is probably not going to happen. But we're so motivated by the idea of somebody like her. And you know, the first scene of even Jonathan's character with Adriana in the bingo hall, just a regular day at the community center. She really is like that, just so kind and so genuine. She really is that ray of sunshine. So she's fantastic.
I
And
love that
boy,
scene.
yeah, he was excited to carry a giant shotgun that
Mhm.
you know, the first AD had to be like, Ms. Barraza, do you mind pointing that not to the crew? And she's like, but it's fake. And he's like, just ma'am, please point it the other direction. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, she's amazing, and people are going to be talking her. Not just her. You also mentioned Joshua from the amazing cast. Includes L. Scott Caldwell's fantastic, Clayton Landry, Grover Coulson, and Richard Brake, who we've already mentioned. Everyone in the cast is fantastic, but you have such an amazing ensemble. And one of the themes of the movie, and you know what they talk about rather explicitly, is the difference between a neighborhood and a community. And I really like that. Raynor, you want to talk a little bit about that theme?
Oh, I mean, we had this big discussion when we were creating with Gigi, Shane, and also Perry Blackshear as well. And it was something that we really wanted to dive into about, like, you know, this community and these groups of people. And like, I think, you know, Gigi even brought up about like us kind of, and myself too, growing up, just living in these smaller kind of community neighborhoods. It really felt like a family. And it was something that we really wanted to kind of have that nice balance of, you know, bringing that to the screen and being like, this is what it's about. Because, you know, when we're starting to see it all the time now with gentrification, right? And
right,
you know,
another very big theme.
Yeah, and that kind of falls in line with that, of like people just leaving that once have lived there for so long, and then they're finally moving out, and it's just becoming a smaller and smaller shell of the people that have been there for so long. It was something that we really wanted to try to kind of hammer home and make this like a community. I mean, like when my grandparents grew up, I mean, it's changed in so long. There's only like 2 people that are there, that are left, and it's all new families, new homes. So it's like you lose that kind of community aspect, I guess, which I think I'm covering that in some way.
Yeah.
Gigi, if you want to elaborate on it some more, but
Yeah, no, we, you know, definitely, especially for Shane McKenzie and myself, we've grown up in lower income neighborhoods, and sometimes even just your neighbors are part of what makes that community so rich.
And Shane is the co-writer of Bingo Hell. Yeah.
And everything Lucha Gore writer. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
And so it was really fun to bring these characters together that just also represent the strength of friendship and community. It was important to have this ensemble be of different colors as well, different backgrounds, different personalities, and also embrace different accents. So we were so excited to just break that stereotype that we always think, you know, even while writing this, there was an encounter of a conversation of somebody worried that this was too much of a brown and black stereotype of a community, and we were like, it's not at all.
It really isn't.
You know, and so definitely it's those kinds of risks that are awesome to bring into especially genre films that audiences, I think genre audiences are just more open to seeing change. So it was very exciting for us.
Yeah, and you know, the movie's been compared to the Goonies in terms of its nostalgia factor, and I think when people hear that, they think, oh, well, it's got something to do with pirate treasure, and it's like, no, it's like these old the senior citizens are the Goonies, and it's their spirit together. They're the Goonies against the world, and Goonies never say die, and I think people don't expect that, you know.
I love that.
That's quite a compliment.
Yeah. Well, you know, Byron, let's talk a little bit about, you know, the look of the film, because it really is almost like there are two worlds. There's Lupita's world and there's Mr. Big's world. And, you know, there are the peripheries where they kind of bleed into each other. You want to talk a little bit about creating essentially two different looks for one film?
Yeah, I mean, we started out where we wanted Lupita's world and you know, and all of the, you know, the characters to be in, you know, it's not that it was drab, but just a little more desaturated. And the idea was that, you know, it's all handheld and it's a little more gritty, and we like the grittiness of it, and the grittiness of the neighborhood. And we always felt like Mr. Big, that if we could transform this drab bingo hall with this fluorescent overhead lighting into this crazy, just stupid, light-filled, you know, place that would then Mr. Big would be bringing all this color. And so our idea always was that Mr. Big has the color and the rest of the world is more of this kind of drab feeling. And then as Mr. Big starts to infiltrate their world, you slowly start to see more color. You'll see color in the deaths. You'll see color mix in with the deaths, where you'll see the reality that's a little more drab, and then you'll see, you know, the dreamlike state, which has more color. And then as the movie goes on, it just kind of slowly, you know, they kind of blend and meld together to just kind of show that Mr. Big is completely into their world, until finally at the end, of course, they win out. So, you know, we did the same thing with the camera, where we tried to make sure, you know, that we had our handheld gritty feel, and then we had our Steadicam and dolly, often much wider lenses. But we did the same thing with the camera, where slowly as Mr. Big infiltrated, then we would introduce some of that camera styles into their world as well. So hopefully that kind of came across. Maybe it was just a little more subliminal, but you know, for us, it's great to create something, especially for Gigi and I together, to create something, because it just really helps to further build the different worlds.
Yeah. Well, talk to me a bit too about your approach to gore, you know, and I know that there's one like very gory scene, but I'm talking more about like the slime and the ooze, and, you know, how you kind of created this icky feeling through textures and, you know, lighting and colors.
Well, I mean, I think when it comes to gore, I follow what Gigi does, because there's never enough. But yeah, we definitely tried to make the lighting match the gore or the craziness, you know, of the slime. I mean, especially I think it was the first day we actually shot the death in the auto body shop.
That was day one. And
death, yeah.
Lovely Grover has never had fake blood on him before.
Oh, well, he must have been picking it out of his nostrils after that, for sure.
And it was crazy. And one thing I tried to do is, beforehand, Gigi and I come up with a color palette, and then I put together a LUT, which is also known as a lookup table, which is basically a look. So, you know, I've got maybe a LUT that's very desaturated and crushes the blacks more, and midtones is darker. And then we've got something that will pop all the colors and make it brighter. And so I can, both with the lighting, I can augment it, but also with the look in the camera. When you're shooting really fast, like we tend to do, then I can use these different LUTs so that on the monitor we can see exactly what we're getting, and we can bounce back and forth. Because, for instance, all those deaths were shot with 2 different looks and 2 different lighting styles. So you know, that was a challenge and that was fun, but that's kind of how we, you know, we created it. And we used a ton of color, which is something that we didn't do as much, like in Culture Shock, for instance. We used a little green, a little bit here and there, but here we really tried to punch up the color as much as possible. And I even told Gigi, I was like, I as much as possible, this movie, I want to be out of my comfort zone. I don't usually do a ton of huge Dutch angles and like crazy colors that, you know, are unmotivated. And I was like, I want to just do all that stuff. Anything that feels kind of gimmicky in a sense could really fit this movie.
Yeah.
I remember Byron saying that, actually. He's like, I want to get out of my comfort zone. I totally remember him saying
Can't do anything I normally do. It's like, just take it somewhere different. Keep going. Push the limits.
That's great that Raynor was there to encourage you. Jonathan?
No, he called me at one point and said, I'm going out of my comfort zone. I was like, oh, Gigi's gonna like that.
You don't realize, like, as an actor, because you're so focused on the other actors, or you're focused on an action, or so when we had the watch party, it was gorgeous, man. It was gorgeous. Well done. I mean, everybody, like, the colors were fantastic. And even that shift in the red, when I looked away and all of a sudden the hands come up, I was like, holy shit, they did that? and then I started going through, and you see it like time and again. It's really subtle, and then sometimes it just pops. It's just incredible. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We really tried to bring the color in and shift it when Mr. Big is in. I mean, we you know, it's not just the colors there, but it actually shifts in mid scene so that you can start feeling his presence.
Yep.
Yeah, it was really fun to make color the enemy in a way. Like,
right, you don't see that a lot.
You don't see that a lot. So definitely Mr. Big bringing color, this artificial sense into these people's lives. It just felt to really fit also a lot of the themes, you know, of we were talking a lot about gentrification and greed, and we tend to think of it a certain way. And so this time we just really wanted that flashiness, that manipulative look to easily fall into, that to be Mr. Big's influence. It was really fun to bring the color. And, you know, when Raynor and I were discussing, when Shane first told us there's going to be slime in this script, it was like, it was so strange to read a script with slime, because we don't see that anymore. But then to us, that was like, you know what? We got to bring slime back, because it just right away, slime screams fun. And I think by films of back in the day, they were a blast. I was that kid that wanted it to be in the Nickelodeon show covered in slime. I was totally. So, you know, having slime be the representation of money isn't real was really cool to use that. Also, everyone on the set really hated every time I was like, more slime. Everyone was not happy because it was a mess. Every time was a mess.
Nice. Listen, we got some questions from people watching on Facebook and Twitch. I want to ask Jonathan one more question, then we'll get into as many of these as I can. Jonathan, we talked about your character, Eric, as kind of a bridge, an arbitrator between the young and the old, the new generation and the older generation. But your character also has struggles, you know, and you know, you see your character and maybe a couple other characters who feel kind of like on the verge of abandoning their community and giving up. And, you know, you want to talk a little bit about Eric's struggle and how that played into some of the bigger themes in Bingo Hell.
Yeah, the struggle was real. So his character in the beginning is living on the street, and like he's a street kid. That's essentially, and there's some of that I can identify with, and without getting too personal. And then there's this transition that happens because when you have someone like Adriana's, like Lupita, who takes the time to put her life to the side, right? And put somebody else before her as a way of building community, which is how you build these communities, right? They say it takes a village to raise a child, right? And I think that's essentially what happened, right? El Scott's character and Adriana's characters are coming together, and they're creating this village, and they're raising these kids as best they can. And his struggles were the epitome of a lot of the other struggles. The other kids that I talk about in the scene with Joshua, you know, a lot of them didn't make it. Like a lot of the guys that I grew up with didn't make it. And so when you do make it, you get to a certain point where you realize how important it is that the generation behind you doesn't make those same mistakes. You know, it becomes incumbent upon us to do what was done for us for the next generation. And so that was what was so important. And I mean, without giving too much away, I think what happens with Eric, and again, like you read it in the script, and you know, you have a table read, and even when you're acting in the moment, you don't really get a sense of it. And I'm sure Gigi did, because she's got the bird's eye view, right? But you don't really get a sense of it until you watch the film and you see the effect of actions as they play on Joshua's character. And what he does, kids will rise to the level of expectation that you set for them, right? And he does that, right? He does that, and you can trace back all the actions that happen to inspire him to become the young man that he becomes, right? And to really fill that role, to fill that void. And I think that's another important message. You know, there is something to be said for taking responsibility to help raise up those people who are not quite as prepared or who don't have as much, you know, to raise them up so that we all come up together.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Very well said. All right, let's dive into some of these questions from people watching. This one's for Gigi and Raynor. Jason Blum is also one of the executive producers on the film. How much interaction did you guys have? How much interaction was there working with him on Bingo Hell? What stuck out most about the film to him?
Well, definitely, it's pretty cool. I saw a behind the scenes clip the other day where he's praising the actors. So I know he loves that. I know he loves that, and he loves the enthusiasm of horror that we infused in the film. You know, Jason works really closely with all the departments. He really has a say in what goes through and what doesn't. So it's been really cool to, I mean, I have his phone number. So it's really, it's really great to know that he's an ally and he's somebody there that I can just call up anytime. And, you know, for movies like this, he really trusts his team. So you know, he's that kind of guy that if you don't hear from him, he's watching and he knows that it's good. Definitely, you know, the only time I would hear from him is like, there's a problem. And I remember, you know, I was doing a voiceover gig because I needed to pay my bills and I needed to work, and I didn't know if Bingo was going to go through. So I booked a big role on a cartoon show to voice. And I remember Jason called me and was like, Gigi, we need you to shoot Bingo. What's going on? I was like, oh. I think Byron remembers. I told Jason, I said, well, I will escape prep only a couple days. And I left prep of Bingo just to go act and then come right back a few times. But, you know, I gave him that promise. And even just quick phone calls like that, I know he's on it, and he's just making sure these stories go through. And yeah, Raynor, I don't know you.
No, I mean, like, he's the Rock, right? He kind of keeps everything like a well-oiled machine that gives, you know, the filmmakers the opportunity to create something, which, you know, it's a good thing to see that you have that support, awesome. Especially from somebody like Jason. And I think it's just, you know, amazing that you're able to, you know, they've just expanded so much that, you know, they're creating all these and taking risks, especially Bingo Hell is a big risk to take. And sure. It's a story. So, you know, I think we're all grateful for that, and, you know, couldn't be happier to have that opportunity to be able to work with Blumhouse and his team and all that. So yeah, you know, very, very grateful for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason Blumhouse has such a great reputation. not just in terms of the quality of films that they put out, but in terms of what a great company they are to work for. So none of that surprises me. Great to hear. Great to hear. Byron, got a question for you. What were some of the most difficult shots in Bingo Hell, and what made them so complicated?
Ooh, Byron.
I think I know what he's gonna say.
Well, I don't even know what I'm going to say. What are the most, well, I think the most complicated, it wasn't even that complicated, but in general were some of the deaths where we had these, the wide angle story cam on the actors. And then we would also put a wide angle on the other side and shoot a whole room where basically we just lit it, I'd light outside the windows and then light with practicals. Those are always a little tough because you're seeing 360 degrees everywhere. You have to clear the crew out and you're using the whole set. So we did those for 3 different deaths. And then in general, I'd say that, all the shots on Mr. Big, I mean, Richard was so good. The one thing I really wanted to do in the bingo hall was basically make it a self-lit set. So we built all, Owl, our production designer, was amazing, and Chip, our gaffer, helped us put together these walls of light that could change colors, and we put lights above. And for the most part, we had a few moving lights, and I would bring in little lights here and there, but it was mostly self-lit, the whole room. And so we wanted to allow Richard, Gigi definitely wanted him to do his thing. I mean, because he was so good, and he could do the whole speech at once. So Fetty, our camera operator on his Ronin with his Flow Cine rig, would follow Mr. Big through the whole thing, and we would shoot some of those pieces all in one take. And we cut them up later, but it was great for Richard to be able to just keep going, and for us to get it all at once. So I would say that overall, just shooting in every direction in some of those big rooms was definitely the most challenging thing that we did. Was that what you were going to say, Gigi? Or
No, but that's cool.
Wait, which one was challenging? Remind me.
I think it's just because I come from like the indie, like poor filmmaker world. When Byron's like, guess what, Gigi? I'm like, what? He's like, we got a techno crane. I'm like, oh. I just like, it was the coolest
well, that
thing.
wasn't tough. That makes it easy.
I know, but there's this massive monster machine that was like, that you just, I thought that was the most difficult thing in the planet. I was like, I think it's just because I wasn't doing it. I just was admiring.
Well, I admire the guys that all do it. I mean, it takes, a focus puller, a camera operator, 2 guys on the crane.
I just thought that was probably the toughest, because also the lovely Richard Brake was remember afraid of heights. So getting Richard on the top of that roof, I mean, I was like, good luck.
It all worked out.
So it worked out.
He showed no fear.
Yeah, he showed no fear. Yeah.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Hey, just wanted to let you guys know, it's not a question, but Mike, who's watching over on Twitch, just wanted to let you guys know, wanted to say Bingo Hell was such a fun watch, and coming from a Latinx neighborhood that is going through gentrification, it was great to see characters that I know. So great compliment.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah. Back to the questions. Got one here for Jonathan. What helped you most get into the character of Eric?
The writing and direction. I like the production. Like I said, the character was so well written. It was like putting on an old jacket. There was some of my cousin in there. There was some of me in there. There was some of like guys that I grew up with in there. There was a lot of identifications that really helped to be able to like create his voice and his perspective and his humor, and then really just being on set. Like Gigi is an actor's director. I know people talk about that, but she really is, because she's an actor, she's an artist, she's a filmmaker, she's everything. So she really gives you the freedom to just create, and things come out of that, right? When you give the actor, when you give the artist the ability to let things organically happen, you get really beautiful results, and the film, I think, is a result of that. It's a consequence.
Yeah.
I gotta add to what Jonathan, though. I remember, like, because it was such a crunch time of trying to find Eric, and Gigi's like, yo, Jonathan messaged me and said, what's going on? And we're like, we're looking to cast Eric. He literally sent an audition tape within like what, a couple hours?
A couple hours.
Yeah.
No, we literally had a deadline of that night of that's it for Eric audition. It wasn't even like the first batch, it was like the callbacks. We were like, that's it. We will not get more tapes until Jonathan just randomly on Facebook Messenger was like, hey, I'm like, say no more, say no more. And I remember I called Cassie. I'm like, send this guy the side now. And because we were like, but Gigi, I'm like, I don't care. Send him aside now. And Raynor's like, who is this Jonathan guy? Like, why are you free? I'm like, Raynor, just wait for his tape. Just wait for his tape. And then you can prove me wrong later if you want. In hours. And Raynor's right. In like hours, 2 hours, this tape comes on and Raynor's like, damn it, Gigi, you're right.
Nice.
No, but Jonathan brings a realness to Eric, and it's so grounded. The performance, I mean, it's just he really is the embodiment of Eric, and it was just amazing to see him perform.
Even our writer Shane, was watching the tapes, and without him knowing this funny story of Jonathan sending in last minute, even Shane was like, this Jonathan guy is Eric. This is Eric. And I think a character like Eric, I personally think was one of the toughest characters to play. I personally think, because even when I saw some of the auditions and when you read it, and I remember a couple of the studio execs, it was very stereotyped when you read it. Just Latino guy, drug addict before, it was very stereotypical when you read it. And we kept trying to say, no, this person is different. Everything Jonathan expressed was very much what we were expressing, being like, why this character is so different, and frankly, why he's so important. And it was a really tough role to fill. And, the scenes he's in, maybe it's not in the whole movie, but those scenes are pretty big. And so it was really cool when Jonathan did that. And I don't know if you know this story, Jonathan, but the exec who was very concerned about this character called personally Raynor and I and said, I regret what I said. You got the guy. And this is the character as it should be. And this was after the table read. It was like, victory! It was awesome.
Wonderful.
You gotta pick your battles. And we're grateful for Jonathan for being with us.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, what an amazing story. Like I said before, none of it surprises me. It's all very in line with what I hear when people talk about working with Gigi and Luchagor. And Gigi, I mean, I wasn't kidding when I said you have literally become an icon for so many in the horror community over this past half decade, because like Jonathan mentioned, you're an actor as well. You do voiceover work. I mean, you've got to be one of the hardest working people in Hollywood and / Vancouver. I mean, you are just an engine, and I just gotta heap more props and respect on you, because having known you these past few years, and you've always just been so real. You're just such a wonderful person, and you are who you portray yourself as. There's nothing hidden or sinister. You have no agenda, and you've just been a wonderful person. I'm so glad you're part of the horror community.
Thank you. I've been, thank you. Wow, I'm not crying.
Oh, come on.
I have to say, I've been very lucky with who I've been able to work with. As you can see in our work and the talent on the Zoom, it's the same people coming back every time. I definitely have been very lucky of who I work with. Even though Raynor and I go way back and we still want to kill each other, there's been a wonderful friendship. And Luchagor, it's not a company, it really has been a family. And for a long time and still today, we want to keep embodying that about the brand and about ourselves, that it's a family, and a family collaborates, a family is all together, and film is that. It's not one person, it's everyone. So I love seeing what actors like Jonathan bring to the table. I love honest producers like Raynor telling me the truth and what I can and cannot do. And I love collaborating with Byron, who just has wild ideas of how we can make a lot of this happen. So thank you. A lot of it I have to thank who I've worked with, truly.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, I could go on talking to you guys all night, and I think literally, Gigi and Raynor, that's true. But we are kind of nearing the end of our time together. So let's consider this the lightning round, because I do want to go around and get all of your input on a few more things. First of all, favorite scene in Bingo Hell and why? Gigi.
Oh, there's so many. Okay, okay. I love you, Jonathan, but I'm gonna say a different scene because all your scenes were good. But I have to say, my favorite to shoot was all the old folks coming together at the end of the movie. Because I'm telling you, Adriana, L. Scott, Clayton, Bertilla, these older folks, I don't think were acting in the end of the movie. I think they had a lot of like years worth of stress just thrown at not Richard Brake, but at the poor stunt guy at Richard Brake's double. That even Richard Brake's double was like, oh my God, they're terrifying. And I remember I had to call cut like super loud, cut, pace yourselves. I kept yelling because I thought one of them was gonna fall. But they were going for it. We did not write that many swear words in the script. We did not. And these actors were going for it. And that was so much fun. So that's my favorite scene, is the end.
Nice. Raynor, same question.
Ooh, I mean, there's not to like. I mean, I really love Lupita's sequence with the bingo balls. I'm a big fan of that one. But also, I'm a big fan of Jonathan's intro scene when he gets first introduced to Lupita. I was such a real, raw, grounded scene. And, Jonathan ad-libbing that, smooches for screw, besitos por fajitos. I love that. I don't know why. It's one of my top favorite scenes. So
that was the best improv line of the movie. I'm gonna get you on that dating app. Besitos por viejitos. I screamed so loud. We're keeping that.
Nice.
It just works so well, and her reaction to it is hilarious. So.
Yeah, it was a really fun moment. Byron, favorite scene in Bingo Hell?
Well, for me, I think it's actually just the end, like the last scene, because it was raining and storming, and we had to shoot it pretty quickly and punch it together. And then we had this drone shot planned with the whole place on fire. We wanted to pull away, and we couldn't fly the drone because it was raining. And then all of a sudden, we just got like, I don't know, 10 minutes where it stopped raining.
10 minutes of no rain.
And we just flew the drone. And thank God for our producer, Ian, who had brought the drone guys out so that we could rehearse the shot when we scouted, because we knew we were going to shoot there. So we brought them out. We already had it rehearsed. They knew exactly what was happening. So in that 10 minutes, as the fire's going and they're doing their thing, we were able to pull out and get that whole shot. So for me, that's just exciting because of, just that's filmmaking, and that's what makes it really fun. It's just being under pressure and getting it, because if we hadn't, the editing would have been fine, but it wouldn't have been the same.
It was a beautiful shot. Where did you get that shot?
In that drone shot, I remember it just kept pulling out. I think I was holding on to Byron, like, because we just were so behind that day because of the rain, and we didn't have anybody outside. And suddenly we all felt little sprinkles. And I was like, keep going. They're like, Gigi, it's starting to rain on my drone. I'm like, God, okay, cut. But it was so scary.
Where was that?
That was in New Orleans, and I don't know. I forget what you call the area. I'm not good with
Old Algiers.
Yes, thank you.
It was an amazing shot. It was absolutely beautiful, really striking, which is why I had to ask. Jonathan, same question. Favorite scene in Bingo Hell? It could be a scene that you were in or not.
I love all my scenes, and Adriana's. God, forget it. I think the line that stays with me for whatever reason, well, just because he's a great actor, is when he's just like, people say that money can't buy you happiness, and he's just like, I disagree. When he says that line, like it's so fucking good. So that line definitely needs a mention. But the scene when Adriana comes in and she's looking for Grover, and Clayton is just having a American Werewolf in London moment where he's bent over and he's like, and the tension, the way you built the tension between the two of them. She's behind and she drops that whatever, the crowbar, and then he's like that scene was so good. It stayed with me also throughout the rest of the film. I really love that scene.
Fantastic scene. Yeah.
I just want to quickly add, just very quickly, I know we gotta go. But that scene that Jonathan mentioned when Richard Brake's like, but I disagree. He right away said, but you know who actually believes this nonsense? And he says, losers. When you see all the cute old ladies go like this, that was I didn't tell them to do that. And all these cute, like El Scott and Adriana doing, like actually getting mad being called losers I was like, we're printing that. Like there were so many genuine moments in this film that it's literally their own charm and their own sass, which is why we're so excited for everyone to watch this movie with their grandparents. Like,
yeah, genuine. That's a word you used, and that's definitely something that's a signature of everything you guys do. Genuine, authentic. Once again, a huge success with Bingo Hell. See it now on Amazon. Okay, ultra super lightning round because we're out of time. I'm going to go around and ask you all a couple questions. Jonathan, what are you working on now?
Got a short film again with some older women where I'm going to be playing an intimate love interest, not sexual, but it's this beautiful love story between a younger man and an older woman. So
told you, Eric's back. He never
He's resurrected.
Final question: why should people be excited to check out Bingo Hell if they haven't already?
Is that for me?
Yeah, for you.
It is a wild ride that is both nostalgic and contemporary and unlike anything you've ever seen.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. Byron, what are you working on now?
I'm gonna start a movie pretty soon. I think working on a deal to go somewhere and shoot a movie. But otherwise, I've just been doing some promos and commercials. And after Bingo Hell, I did another movie, and then I came home to hang out with my family for a few months since I've been away a bunch. So
nice.
Yeah.
We'll enjoy doing that. Why should people be excited to check out Bingo Hell if they haven't already?
Well, just because it's pure fun and it doesn't take itself seriously, and there's good gore, there's great characters, and it's just plain fun. I mean, there's just no reason not to watch it and just let everything go and just have a good time.
Well said. Thank you for being here tonight. Raynor, what are you working on?
We're just working on some development on some other projects. Hopefully, get the next one going. Gigi and myself got a couple of things that we're working on, and unfortunately can't just say yet, but we're hoping for next year's get things off the ball rolling and get boots on the ground again. So that's what I'm working up towards right now. So aiming for the next year.
Well, keep us posted. Why should folks be excited to check out Bingo Hell?
I mean, people should just definitely, like I said, open your mind, watch Bingo Hell, because it really is something different. It's fun, it's quirky, it's heartfelt, and it's got those little moments that for the horror fans that definitely going to enjoy, and yeah, just to really have a good time with it and just feel it out. That's all I can say.
Fantastic. Gigi, got a last minute comment here. Someone wants to know when Nacho's going to get his own movie. Nacho's her cute little dog.
Nacho ruined his chances on screen when he auditioned for the Swiffer Sweeper commercial that I'm on. That's like worldwide.
Nacho, you blew it.
He blew it, and everyone's like, "Why isn't Nacho in this commercial?" I'm like, "Because he's looking for a new agent." No, I'm kidding, but no, he really did screw that one. But I hope on the next one, Nacho and my dad deserve like legit cameos, like funny cameos.
Well, I want a cameo too one of these days. You've always like kept me in mind, right? Anyway, back to
here. You heard it here.
Oh, thank you so much. Back to Bingo Hell. Or before we get some final thoughts on Bingo Hell, what are you working on now? What can you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, same as Raynor said, we have like a good 3 projects in development, and it's just like, let's see which one gets greenlit right away. And definitely, I have another script with Blumhouse that I'm hoping that'll be the next one. It's a really wild movie, very much in the vein of The Raid finally I
Nice.
can do all the gore I've been dreaming of. I feel very constrained from before. And lastly, I'm excited to finally announce my first two big lead roles I voiced over for some big shows, some big animated shows. I can finally announce that very soon.
Oh,
So
wow.
stay tuned for your kids, for your soon baby to come.
Yes.
There's some wonderful shows coming soon for me to announce. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, Gigi's referring to the fact that my wife and I are expecting our first child very soon. So appreciate that. Oh, thank you so much. We're gonna wrap it up, letting Gigi have some final, tell us some final words about Bingo Hell and why, if you haven't already seen it and discovered it, why you should be excited to check it out.
Definitely, if you are a horror fan, we finally brought to you the official horror abuela for the community, and that is Adriana. So if you want to see a film that can remind you of your grandparents or can remind you of the crazy cat lady down the street or the next door neighbor, these old folks definitely are badass, and it's time that we see seniors kick so much ass in a Rob Zombie universe. So wow.
Hell yeah, well said. We've been talking about Bingo Hell, available to stream now on Amazon. I want to thank all of my guests for being here. Congratulations on making such a wonderful film, and I can't wait to hear about what each and every one of you is working on next. I want to thank my team at Dread Central, John Condit doing the tech side of everything for us. Super glad to have you here as always. And thanks for all of you guys for tuning in. We got some more episodes of Dissecting Horror in the works, so check out Dread Central for details on those. In the meantime, it's been wonderful. Guests, hang on a minute. Everyone else, good night. We'll talk to you soon.
I look around this beautiful community.